Well, hello everybody. This is Bruce Larsen, and welcome to the first Pivot Point short, quick, concise information sessions that we're going to be running on a regular basis. What we want to do is provide people with tips on how to assess things and how to do things. And so we're going to kick off this whole Pivot Point series today by talking about how do you select the right company? What do you look for when you go out there? There are thousands of companies out there in the world, and which are the ones that you should select? Now, if you were talking about the motor industry, it would be quite easy because, you know, on the one side you would have tractors, and on the other side you'd have Ferraris and Porsches, and all the different makes and models in between. And if you were going to go up to Botswana into Central Africa and you'd need a 4x4, you would know that there's a number of different vehicles that you could choose from. But the network marketing industry is a little different because most people out there are not aware of the different types of vehicles that are available in network marketing. And so again, you know, on the one side of the spectrum, you'll have companies that are tractors. On the other side of the spectrum, you'll have companies that are Ferraris and Porsches. And then you'll have all the little mom and pop vehicles in between. Now, the important thing to realize is that most companies out there, they do pay money. Most companies out there have got a good range of products. But which is the right one for you? And in most cases, people just look at the product. But there are three very important factors that even come in before you look at the product and compensations. And so, you know, a lot of people have asked me, Bruce, you were doing exceptionally well in our previous company. And what was it that made you switch from that company to Jeunesse? Well, you know, what we did is we assessed the situation. And the situation was with our previous company that the company was flatlining. There was no growth. And this company, after 23 years, was pretty much in the same situation and the same position, if not worse, than they were 5 or 10 years ago. And I felt that we were just kind of taking care of a pension. And there was no real challenge, and there was just the same activity chasing after each other, and there was nothing that was happening that was stimulating and that really pointed to a positive growth. So I'm going to go through 5 factors that we looked at in order to make the change from our previous company through to Jeunesse, which we believe right now is probably the hottest deal on the planet to be involved with. Now, guys, you have to take emotion out of this. You have to take certain things that people will try to push into your mind, like, you know, loyalty and all these sort of things. You know, we're not trees. We're designed to move. You know, people move from one job to the other. People marry this person and then get divorced and marry another one. People are CEOs of those companies and they move to other companies. So let's take a very quick look at the 5 points that we looked at. So number one, the first point, just make a note of this. Number one, who owns the company? Now, in our previous company, it was a public company, so the owners were the shareholders. Now, what happens under those circumstances? Shareholders appoint a board of directors who appoint employees. Now, an employee is a completely different person to a person that's actually in the community of networkers underneath them. So your employees' main focus is their salary and their bonus at the end of the year. And if they're going to be paying money into the community of networkers, you know, they're probably going to look around and go, well, you know what, I think we need to look after our families and our jobs before we look after the community of networkers. And I actually had in a previous business where the country manager said to me quite openly, he said, Bruce, even though I may agree with you, I have to take care of my family and my future first. Now, the owner of a business would never say that. An employee would say that. But the owner of a business would never say something like that. And so Jeunesse is privately owned. It's owned by one family. It's a couple with years of experience, very wealthy people, but their son, who's in his mid-30s, runs and operates it. So you've got the wealth of wisdom and you have the wealth of guidance coming from mom and dad, but you also have this really great guy that's running and operating the business. So who owns the business? This is a huge, huge thing to look at. Number two, what's the performance of the company? Well, when you look at the performance of the company, you've only got to take a look at Jeunesse. It's the #1 growth company in the world. So if you get into an environment that's going up like a rocket, you're in the right environment. You just got to hold on. If you get involved with a company that's just flatlining, well, you know what? That's the environment. And if you want to make money like that, in that type of environment, you're swimming upstream, and it's going to be a long, hard battle. So look at the company's performance. Then you have to look at your strategic partners. Now, who is your strategic partner? Who is your upline that's going to guide you and teach you? Where do they fit in terms of a global picture rather than just a local demographically controlled picture? You see, in previous companies where I've been involved, in our previous company, we did not have an international strategic partner that was recognized globally. In Jeunesse, we have Bo Short, number 31 all-time income earner. He's in the Hall of Fame. He's recognized as in the top 25 network marketers in the world. You know, your strategic partners don't get better than that. So we know that what's being taught to us, we can trust it, because we're going to put our time and our effort and our lives into this. So your strategic partner is critical. Now we have a look at that point in terms of, what is the product line? Now, the products are good. As I said, all companies have got good products. So take a look at the products. What makes them special? What makes them different? And the fifth thing that you've got to look at is, what is the compensation? In a previous company, in the space of 23 years, they had one man earning $1 million a year. I look at Jeunesse Global, they have more than 135 people earning $1 million, and that's just in a 6-year span. So let's go through these points very quickly, and then I'm done. Number one, who owns the company? Understand why that's important. Number two, what's the performance in the company? Well, this company hit $1.18 billion in its first 6 years. That puts it up there with just 6 other companies that have ever achieved $1 billion in its first 6 years. You know, to explain the difference in a million and a billion, 1 million seconds is equal to 11 days. 1 billion seconds is equal to 31 years. 1.18 billion is a significant amount of money. That's the environment. Number three, who's your strategic partner? Who's going to be guiding and teaching this network? Is it shooting from the hip and experimenting with that and experimenting with the next thing? You don't want that, because your time is valuable. You can't afford to waste time and people. The fourth thing at that stage is the product. We've got great products. We have huge markets that we work with. So have a look at the Jeunesse products. And the last thing is the compensation. The great thing about Jeunesse is that they've created this middle income group. So $1,500 US to $2,500 US is something that would appeal to you. It's 20 to 30,000 rands in South Africa. This is probably a company that you want to take very, very seriously. This is a company that's going places, and you can go with them. It's been great spending some time. I'm sorry, I apologize. I took 8 minutes, but it's just the pipe opener. But these are the pivotal points that will change your life. Have a wonderful day, and we're excited to be able to be working with you in a venture that's got me excited at the tender age of 66. Bye for now.